um, maybe.
Mine says it's streaming live on Facebook right now.
Okay.
Mine says the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Well, welcome everyone. This is the fifth actually session of coping in a COVID-19 world. One of the axioms or starting points of the Center for Urban Education and Policy is the idea that the people closest to the situations and the challenges are really best suited to think through and develop the solutions to those challenges. And so it struck me, and probably many of you, if you've tuned into some of these other conversations, that so far we've talked to teachers, we've talked to school counselors, we've talked to principals, we've talked to parents, attorneys, community members, family members, parents, but we have yet to talk with the youth and young adults who are most affected, of course, by this. So possibly of all the students in our systems, K through 12, it's hard to imagine anybody being more affected by this sudden kind of shift and all of the uncertainty that comes along with it than high school seniors. So today, it's really my privilege to be able to listen to and learn from 4, hopefully soon 5, high school seniors, actually Titus, I see that you've joined us, who are going to share with us what they've been experiencing. So we are going to really kind of start with their voices. The first thing we're going to do is have everybody introduce themselves. Titus, you'll be following Sandra, by the way. But if we could start first with Shai. Introduce yourself, who you are, what school you go to, and maybe a bit about your future plans.
Hi, my name is Shai. I go to Sandra High School, and a bit of my future plans is I do attend on going to UNF and majoring in education, deaf education. So
thank you, Shai. Conor?
Me now? Yeah. So my name is Conor Nacarado. I go to Douglas Anderson School of the Arts. I'm in 12th grade, as we mentioned. My area of concentration is creative writing. And in the fall, given that I get there, I will be heading up to Providence, Rhode Island to study at Brown University.
Okay. Thank you. How about Lily?
Hi, I'm Lily. I am a senior at Janson, and hopefully in the fall, I will be attending USF in Tampa.
Okay, thank you, Lily. How about Sandra?
Hi, I'm Sandra. I'm an Ivy senior at Paxton School for Advanced Studies, and I will hopefully be attending USF as well.
Thank you. Titus.
Hey, my name is Titus. I'm a student at Ed White High School. I plan on attending UNF, and I'm planning on majoring in education. And after that, I was gonna probably invest and build my own business and stuff like that. So
thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us. Really, this is about creating space for you and so we as community members, as your family members, as your teachers and those who support you, so we can learn more really about, I think, what you're experiencing. So how has it? I mean, maybe just to start off with. What are some ways that it's obviously impacted you? Maybe we should start by focusing on the social aspect of this. A senior year is, for many people, I think, my prompt for this conversation on our Facebook page was, I know that many adults who are in their middle years, like mine, will have these really solid, strong memories of their senior year in high school. I mean, it's like this quintessential American experience. to have all these different traditions that you're able to go through as a senior. What are some ways that this has just affected you, and maybe starting with the things that have been, most difficult to kind of grapple with, what the changes that have been most striking, starting with anyone.
Okay, I think I'll go first. So I feel like the most difficult for me is probably that I don't have a prom or a grad bash. That's like, oh my gosh, when they had announced that they weren't having prom, I literally cried because I've never been to prom before. So I feel like that's every girl's like dream for high school, is to go to prom, get dressed up and pretty so you can take your pictures and stuff. So it's just unfortunate that I won't be able to experience that. And so yeah.
Wait, okay. So I'm dealing with the same thing, of course. I feel like every school has canceled the prom and grad bash. We already paid for it, so it's like, oh my gosh. But at the same time, me and my friends actually this year were planning to have a prom at one of our houses, like go out with our friends and then go back to someone's house and just, have our own prom. So I think that's also an option, just to like look on the bright side. Maybe we can figure out a way to do our own proms or something like that later in the summer or later in May. And then for grad bash, they'll reimburse us if you did already pay for it. So I'm like, later in the year, let's all go get matching shirts, have fun. So I mean, there are solutions that we can probably think of. But it is kind of sad that it's, not with the whole school and maybe not everyone can do it, or they've been affected by Corona personally. So that's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're already kind of jumping to thinking about ways that you can overcome some of these challenges. So that's good to hear. It's good to hear. Thanks, Sandra. Who else? Lily, what are some of your thoughts?
I mean, there's so many events other than just prom and grad bash that have gotten canceled. That's absolutely sucked. Like this week actually, I was supposed to go to Tampa for the State Thespian Festival. Saw my friends. It's so much fun. Did it last year, and having that canceled was such a bummer. Too looking forward to that for months, and that was canceled. And yeah, all these fun activities that seniors look forward to. That's like part of the coming of age, really, like your senior prom and all that stuff. And it's just not going to happen. So it feels like incomplete almost.
Yeah, the suddenness and I think the kind of uncertainty of what really is a loss. I mean, it's I think some of the events and the traditions that you've already mentioned that most everyone is able to at least experience in their senior years. That it's played up in film, it's played up in literature, and so probably for many of you, I imagine you've been kind of thinking through when you're a freshman and a sophomore and a junior by watching the seniors like experience these fun things. And there's just an expectation, obviously, that you're going to be able to take a part in it. So does that feel like loss? Does it feel like almost like a grieving process?
Yeah, it does. And also to piggyback off of what Lily said, it is more than just the big things like prom and grad bash, because I've been in theater for 4 years. So this year would have been my last performance and I won't even get that. So it's also kind of like sad to know that I won't ever like be on that stage again. But yeah, it is a grieving process because like that's some things that you can't really get back. So
I was gonna say like saying goodbyes. Like we're probably not going back to school this school year. Highly doubt it, right? And we got teachers that we're probably never gonna see again unless we come back here and make it a point to to go see them. Same thing with students, or if we wanted to, visit our middle school or anything. It's like, for me, I guess it's not about the super big events that I was disappointed with. It's just being a little lonely and wanting to memorialize properly the time that I've put in the past 4 years.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Conor. I mean, you don't have opportunities for closure in some cases with relationships. I mean, you and maybe even some people that you've had classes with, for some of you, I know have probably known each other since, knowing two of you went to the same elementary school. I mean, you've known each other maybe since kindergarten, and there's no doubt maybe some other friends in your more immediate constellation that they're not going to be going to Brown, with you in the fall.
Yeah. I mean, it's a small world. And so everybody knows everybody. I wish I could have gotten the chance to go back and visit my middle school like I did a few years ago, the last week of school, just random little things like that make the difference in your departure. Like you said, with the suddenness, it's one day we have 3 months of school left, and then it's probably done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how did others of you experience that kind of? I mean, obviously this has developed so rapidly. It strikes me that you might even feel like you're in shock right now still. What's it been like emotionally?
So for emotionally with me, it's just been hard. I've been it's kind of been stressful and overwhelming, because it's like some of us even have jobs, and we have jobs that we can't go to right now because due to the coronavirus, not many people, are coming to the place to eat, or and it costs because now we can't get paid, and such as me, I'm working and I have a family that I try to help take care of as well, and it's also affecting me in education wise, because learning virtually is more difficult for me, because I'm more of I want to be in the classroom, and it's much difficult because I like to connect with my teachers. I like to feel that connection, that emotional connection, and I'm able to learn more when I'm comfortable. But due to us being on laptops and other devices, and it's not as comfortable as would be in the classroom. I'm not gonna lie, there's some days where I didn't feel like going to school. I had that senioritis, that's what they call it. I didn't feel like going to school, but I didn't think it was gonna be this bad, So that's how I'm feeling right now, so.
Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought about that. I mean, it's the time-honored tradition of a senior skip day, or just taking a day because you're already positioned for whatever your next step is. A little harder to do when people know you're in your room with access to the computer. How has this affected others of you academically, the experience of learning, moving so rapidly which I always try to give a shout out to Duval educators. I mean, they pulled this off pretty fast, and that quickness was a great thing. But there's probably, I would imagine, a lot of kinks in the system right now. So how are you experiencing Duval homeroom and learning in a virtual way?
Well, from my experience, it has not been going that great. A lot of my teachers, their assignment tab doesn't work, so it's we can't even turn in any work right now. It's the system's on overload because there's so many students online at one time. And I know some of my teachers are going by the AB schedule, and some of them are not. So some of my teachers are sending out multiple assignments each day, and some are only doing it in the time slot. So it's I feel like I'm having more work online than I did when I was actually in school. So I don't know. That's my experience with it, though.
Thanks, Shai. How about others? Lily, how's it been at Stanton?
Well, Stanton is still Stanton. Obviously, it's still a bit of a nightmare. But it's crazy, the difference between my teachers and what they're choosing to do. I have classes that I don't really like, who have seen that the AP is only going to cover through a certain unit, are choosing to still teach all of the rest of the class that's not going to be tested at all. And they're getting lots and lots of work for it. And then I have classes that I really like. The teachers are just saying, oh, well, I guess we're done teaching you now because we've covered everything that's going to be on the test. So you can just, here's like big review packet, go do it. And I don't know, it feels so impersonal, even though I have all these live lessons with my teachers. And it just, I don't know, in a time where you can't actually be social, it sucks to not even be able to like interact in the classroom with teachers.
I would love to talk about, like, we mentioned a little bit, like, theater kids, like I'm, you know, I'm in creative writing, and so it's like how can you even effectively transition performing arts, creative arts of any kind to an online only place? I mean, especially with theater, it's impossible. It's impossible. Like, what, you want to run lines over FaceTime? Like, that's it. That's all you can do at that point, really. And I mean, for so many kids, those classes, like you were saying, Lily, like the extracurricular ones where, you know, we're not going so intense all the time, those are the ones that color the school experience, and that sometimes make going worth it. And those experiences are kind of just being a little robbed of us.
Yeah, I'm in theater and choir. That's so much of my life at school, and so those classes have basically just given up. They said, you know, be free, we're done, and it sucks.
What are some ways that you have you found that some teachers have maybe, one thing that I think is probably very curious about this, Lily and I were chatting a little bit before we got started, that there is generally I think a generational technological divide, where your generation is much more savvy and you just have an intuitive sense for like online platforms and new technology. It's probably very likely that many of your teachers, although there's a span, may not be nearly as fluent. And so that's got to be a kind of an interesting thing that you're seeing your teachers now probably in a position where they're fumbling through things that are very simple from a technical standpoint for each of you. Do you find that teachers are reaching out to students for help just navigating the technology?
That's actually really funny because today I got a call from my Spanish teacher and she didn't know the whole class today. She didn't find her PowerPoint. She couldn't find where she put the lesson plans. Like, it was a whole mess. And I'm just like, what are we doing? You know, like, we need to be learning, doing something. So she called me and she was like, please help me. You know, like, I don't know what to do. What do kids want? You know, like, how can I make this, you know, balanced for them? Because some kids are taking the AP, some kids don't have to take the AP, you know, some weird stuff like that. So, and a bunch of other teachers just don't really know what to do at the time. And some of them are even just assigning things and not even doing like the virtual, you know, calls or sessions. So we don't even see them at some points. So yeah, it's really not, I don't know, all over the place right now.
Yeah.
I totally hear all of that, and I agree. And it is a difficult thing to have to, you know, endure teachers not knowing how to use their computers. But I mean, like you said, really hats off, because it was like they had a training on Friday,
right?
And then they had to like conduct class on Monday. And that's difficult for anybody to do. Nobody knew, you know, what they were doing with this software specifically before Sunday night, the night before classes, when it went live. So I appreciate the grit. I do.
I think gritty is I think there has been a lot of grit and and it sounds like from what I've talked to teachers, but now hearing, the spirit that all of you are kind of conveying, that there's been a good amount of kind of graciousness being extended, by students to the situation. That teachers are of course human beings. We're human beings, and we're living through this collective trauma. And I guess that's something I've been thinking personally a lot about. Like, I know some people believe, and I can see this perspective, that there's some value in making sure that there's some kind of structure for students, even though it's a very different structure. A big part of me, though, feels like we're experiencing wholesale collective trauma, and this is beyond what we could have imagined, most of us, just 2 months ago. And I guess from a learning theory standpoint, when people's consciousness is that laden with uncertainty and the trauma of, like you said, these instant losses of your theater projects, your ability to perform publicly as part of your courses, your relationships, face-to-face relationships with teachers like Titus and Sandra mentioned, your ability to see other friends live at a time when we're so isolated, that has there been space, or we're just maybe not even thinking about the onus being on teachers? I'm curious about where you're all going to support and nurture your own emotional needs in all of this.
I think that our generation is doing what it does best, and we're logging on. And we've, I guess, through circumstance, carved out spaces in Instagram and in Snapchat and wherever that's where so many of our circles of support already were. So I guess, we've got that to our credit, but it doesn't make it all that easier, because it gets just as lonely, talking to nobody as talking to a screen.
Thanks, Conor. Would others like to weigh in on that? What are you doing to take care of yourselves emotionally?
So with me, you know this, Mr. Janson, that I'm a man of faith. I'm not about to preach or nothing, but I feel like the way I'm dealing with it, I just know nothing happens for no reason. That's the way I look at it. I feel like everything is for a reason, and I feel like I'm just standing firm and holding firm, because I know that it's gonna be something good in the long run. That's the way I try to look at the positive aspects of things instead of thinking negatively, because when you think negative, it causes a lot of emotions. You know what I'm saying? Causes a lot of stress, and stress is not good at all. And stress, you can get sick from stress. So I try to look at the positive aspects of things. I try to with me, I'm not preaching about, I pray, or, I express how you feel, because that helps too, being able to talk to someone, like you're doing now. It's good to it's good to have a voice. And I thank you for that too, Mr. Janson. You allow us to, you to have a voice. So, we just got to look at the positive aspects of things, a lot of us, probably was not doing so well in school, and it's probably giving us opportunity to do better, giving us opportunity to make our work back up, or and come back. So you never know. So I just that's the way I look at it.
Thanks, Titus.
And going off of Titus, I actually heard recently that what really struck me was that it truly is a wake-up call, for all of us, for everyone here that's going through. We're all going through the same thing as a country, as a community. It's bringing people back home to their houses, to spend more time with family, to mend those relationships, work on that connections with family. And I look out the window and I see so many people outside, they're getting out of their houses. They're actually trying, they have nowhere else to go. But you really see this openness, and it really is a wake-up call for all of us.
Thanks, Sandra. So I know a number of you have younger siblings, and that's, I think about the transition point that you all are at in your lives as seniors, and just even in terms of your ages as a young adult, who presumably all of you are 18 now, or would soon be. You're legal adults. Those of you who have younger siblings, I would imagine that they're really looking at you for cues in terms of how to handle this, how to show that grit, to use Conor's term, or how to keep the faith, to use Titus's. What's that like, for those of you who have younger siblings? I mean, you're also in confined spaces with them, maybe in ways that you haven't been with the same amount of hours before. So I'm curious about what that's like.
So with me, I have, it's 6 of us in my household, six students, and I'm the oldest. And my siblings, like, the way I'm doing it is, I'm actually, like, you've been helping me out too, Mr. Janson, with opportunities, because I didn't know that schools was giving out laptops and stuff like that. So that was a blessing. But to be honest, my siblings really don't realize how serious this is. Like, they like, man, I don't want to go to school, bump it, but this is very serious. And so I've been taking time out to actually trying to find ways to get more than just like one laptop in the house, or just 2, because it's 6 of us, and we feel like that stingy sometimes. So I gotta find ways to do that. And I want to say it's hard for me. It's really just making me a stronger person, stronger individual, because you never know how the future gonna hold out. Someday it might be parents, it's just like really making me stronger, more stronger. And like she said, it's really bringing a lot of families together, to be honest. Because lately I feel like the way things been going on, a lot of people have been focused on the wrong things, in society. We just been drifting away from what actually matters. We've been blinded by all this material stuff, and money, and we just forgot about love. I feel like we need to be reminded of like what the purpose of why we do things. So that's what I hope I didn't get off the subject and nothing like that. But
I don't think
I
so.
want to speak my mind. Okay.
Thanks,
Yes, sir.
I have a younger sibling as well. And honestly, I feel like she's taught me more being quarantined with her than I feel like I have, because she's like, my little sister is actually really responsible. She wakes me up every day at 8 o'clock so that we can log on to the Duval thing together, and we eat breakfast together, and we listen to music while we're doing our work. And like, I don't know, she is annoying sometimes just because she's my little sister. And it's like being in a confined space with her for this long is like, yeah, it's a lot. But I do feel like she has taught me more, because I just didn't know how responsible she actually was. Because, she's been waking me up like every day on 8 o'clock on the dot. And so, yeah.
Thanks, Shai. Anybody else want to weigh in on this topic? Life in confinement with siblings and.
Well,
I have a 5th grade brother, and it's actually been nice to have someone young, just like, so times when I find it hard to take care of myself with all of this, I take care of him, and like, make sure he gets fed, and he's up and he's in his class, he's doing his stuff, help him with his work. And it gives me more motivation to not just sit and do nothing.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Lily. Sandra, you were going to jump in?
Yes. Okay. So I'm actually the youngest. And what's really been different, or like what's changed, has been that my sister, of course, is in college at JU. So she's always, doing whatever things with, she's like the president of this, blah, blah, blah. And then she has work in the afternoon. So I never see her. So now we have to be stuck together. So I take the initiative. I'm like Shai's little sister. I'm like, let's get it. And we always go bike riding at lunchtime, And the thing is, you can't spend the whole day in front of a screen. That's just crazy. And we're gonna have to be confined to our houses for so long. So now as a family, we're finding things to do, playing board games, which we never did before. Like, what happened to that? Now it's like Wii and all this, or Xbox. I don't know. I'm a grandma. So yeah, so it's really brought our family together, and it's nice.
So there's been some unexpected positive outcomes from this.
Yeah.
Do any of you feel angry? So you're squeezed you're starting out lives as adults, and this is the world that my generation, those older than me, have left for you. And we're watching this, what many would probably describe as a very uneven, sometimes, well, the response from our leaders there's been a lot to be desired. And so this is like cataclysmic in some ways, but we know that on the horizon is something else, right, looming over us that your generation has always been more in tune with, and that's climate change. Do you ever feel angry at that generation's older than you?
I think anyone in our generation would be lying if they said no. I mean, I am angry a lot. I spend a lot of time angry. But with this, it's hard to pin the blame on someone or on something because it's out of our control. So I'm less angry about this, I think.
Okay.
I think I agree with that. It's I don't know, it's little things like those and the divides that are just fundamental oppositions. I think that myself and my closest friends, like, there's just no fathomable way to understand why we're still insisting on fossil fuel use, and why we're still, funding the oil industries, and why we have this like reciprocal power exchange between the government and dirty power, right? Like, it's so clear to us, but to other people it's really not. And I guess that's where less anger and more frustration comes in. Especially with the way social media has quickened everybody's coming into their own as far as political beliefs. Like, I've been thinking about climate change and why we're not doing anything about it since I was 12. And just because that's when I was first seeing information about it. And so it's just it's about frustration, and we, unfortunately, the most high school students can do, other than use their voice as much as they can, is wait. It's a very torturous thing, but we just have to wait for the transfer of power, and with that always comes a lot of change.
And vote.
Yeah, and vote.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one thing that I hope, with my 18-year-old, it's like, who else can you encourage to vote if they're not quite there? But, I think the conversations that I know that I have, with Dylan, he's a passionate Bernie Sanders supporter, and so it's hard for him to understand why others would support, candidates who aren't as full-throated about the reform, the real reform that he sees as being necessary. And it's, yeah, I know he's frustrated too. How about others of you? I mean, how does that, I think a lot of times we don't let young adults express emotion enough, in schools, in We don't create enough venues and opportunities. I know some of you are here partially because I know you because you've created pathways and mechanisms to magnify your own voices. Has this, so going along with that, has this influenced the way you're thinking about your own futures? This crisis that we're experiencing now, do you think about either how it's going to reflect through your careers? So if you wanted to be a therapist or psychologist before, does this inform how you or why you want to do that? Is this going to bubble up in I would imagine in novels and poetry from writers who are coming of age right now? For those of you who are going to be educators, Shai and Titus, I don't think we're having enough conversations in a college of education around what it means to have this thing called public schooling. Sandra, I don't know what your planned major is, so I can't reference that. But how is this hitting you? Is it changing the way you're thinking about your own futures?
With me, I don't think I'm not changing my mind due to the fact what's going on. I feel like because it is very important that we have more educators. We need more teachers. I feel like in today's society, we do. We need more leaders. We do. I feel like that's never going to go out of style. Being a teacher, I don't think it's going to never, it's not, it's so much, because so much knowledge, so much stuff that we could pass down to the future generation. It's so much that we learn every day. We learn we learn every day, So, I feel like, by me being an educator, I don't feel like I'm changing my mind on that. But I will say that I wasn't going to limit myself to education because I was going to see that's a foundation that I want to build myself off of, because I also want to be a business owner one day, and that's why I want to go to college too, because I want to. It's like I feel like it's a journey. I feel like when I go to college, it's going to be a lot of things like I'm gonna see more than just like education. I'm majoring in education, but I feel like it's going to be more like opportunities in the education realm. I feel like it's going to help me be able to, grow into the man that I'm meant to be, so that, because I've always been like, I've been a born leader since I've been, this tall, I feel like that's my calling, to be a leader, to be a teacher, that's why I feel like God put me in a position where I have siblings, because I teach them every day. I talk to them and I try to install something in them so that they can take that, and run with it,
Yeah.
And
so you're still you're dreaming big. This hasn't tampered down your ambitions and vision for yourself
at all. No, no, sir.
Thanks, Titus. How about others?
Yes,
I think that speaks to with sensory overload and with the way media is in our age, like we're an ideologically tough generation. It takes to dream, to do that, to plan for what next week is going to look like. We have to just put aside the fact that climate change is happening and that we're talking about our planet being uninhabitable within our lifetime, and say, okay, we're going to deal with that. But what am I going to do with my life? All kinds of things that that we just have to deal with. That's the nature of being a human, but especially now when we know about all of these threats that are imposed on us, we have to hold fast. And I think we've been doing that for a while.
Thanks, Conor.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off that, my teacher had sent us something, like, I don't know if she got off Pinterest or something, but I don't know if you guys were born in 2001, but like I was, and I was literally born 3 days after 9/11. So it was saying that basically our generation was born into adversity, and now we're facing it again, like not ending our life, but like ending in a chapter of our life. So it's kind of like she was kind of saying that we were born for this in a way, and I kind of feel like I agree with that. because as much as I want to be upset, I mean, I'm really not upset about it. I kind of feel like it's just life. And I kind of feel like I may be grateful for this experience in the long run, considering that I do want to be a teacher and I'm living history right now. So I'll be able to, teach from a personal standpoint, knowing that I've been through this and being able to share my personal experiences much better. And it's more helpful when you're teaching someone about something.
Thanks, Shai.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we are the generation who has had to go to school with the looming threat of school shootings. That exists, and that's just something that we've had to endure. There's no other way about it. You can't not go to school just because school shootings happen. You can't just not plan your life because climate change is a threat, right? It's a lot going on, and we're always in tune with it. So that's how we've learned.
Sandra, Lily?
I mean, yeah, honestly, I feel like we've been kind of under threat our entire lives, like Shai said. Like we were literally born, the first generation born after 9/11. We've lived with, like Conor said, school shootings going on most of our career. I don't know about y'all, but I have like a vivid memory of Sandy Hook happening. We were in school when it happened. And so all of that, like, that's why, I don't know. That's why I feel like we can get through this and we're not as jarred by it as adults are, like older generations are, because you've just been kind of dealing with this for 18 years. Yeah.
I agree, and I think it's really made us stronger as a generation, and now we're so much more motivated to, make those changes, move forward, really make our imprint in society, I guess you could say. So yeah, we're ready.
It's really difficult to hear, and in the way that each of you, or collectively all of you, have painted this picture of the duress that your generation in particular has endured and continue to endure. What can older adults, your parents' age, my age, which might be older than your parents' age, what do we need to do to better support you?
I would say just be more open and like understanding of how we feel, because like I know some of my friends' parents, they think that they're being like dramatic and stuff, but to us it's like a big deal. So I feel like parents should just be more open to how it's feeling and be understanding of that, because no one really knows how it feels until you're put in that situation. So
thanks, Shai. I'd like to hear from everybody on this, actually, if it's okay. Like, what can we do better? How do we better support you?
I know one thing that really sets it off between me and my mother is like placing blame. And that's been a thing late, like the past 5 years, like especially with all the okay boomer stuff. Like we've really been like having generational warfare, trying to like pin who is the reason for society collapsing, right? Whether it's that all millennials are lazy or that all the boomers are racist or whatever, like that can't happen. Those walls, those guards have to come down for us to be practical, and for us to have reasonable discourse about what's going to happen, because it's secondary to the problem, really, talking about who did it.
That's deep. That's wise. That's something I would expect from a conversation between you and your incredible mom. So I'm glad that you guys make that space. Thank you.
Okay, wait, was Lily gonna go? Or no?
Go ahead.
Okay. No, you're totally right, Connor. And also, all the other generations have also gone through suffering. You know, we're all humans. We all, you know, we're all in this together. We're all stuck on Earth. So why not work together? And, you know, yes, we can sort out our differences, but in the end, we're on this Earth for a short amount of time. So we need to talk and find common ground. And we all know what life is. You know, we all have experienced life. Was it, you know, world, you know, being part of a war, or the Cold War, you know, where they were scared, they didn't know when, you know, bombs would come and destroy a school. You know, everyone has been through something. So that's something that we can all, you know, share, you know, find common ground in and move forward.
Your all of your hope and your focus on solutions rather than the origin of the problem is pretty damn inspiring. Lily.
I have very young parents. My parents are basically old millennials, really. They're on that cusp. So I've been blessed with some really, really good parents when it comes to all these issues. But just thinking with like the adults in my life, like my teachers and stuff, just trying to understand that I know that all generations have had to go through this stuff like this when you're young. But letting us be upset about it, trying to understand, like, from our point of view, just let us express our feelings without ridicule, because I know everyone was just as angry as when they were our age, and just letting us have just a space to have opinions without being judged for them, and all of that. That's just probably my biggest hang-ups with even the younger teachers that I have, just invalidating my feelings of what's going on in the world, my opinions and everything. Yeah.
Thanks, Lily. Titus?
Yeah, my bad. I'm just taking in what everybody's saying, just thinking about it. You know, it's a lot to think about. You know, y'all, like every one of y'all said a mouthful. You know, and I totally agree too as well. But I was thinking about too, just allowing us to be able to have a voice. You know, a lot of like people that's like older than us grew up in a generation where like you couldn't speak unless spoken to. You couldn't express how you feel. This is just like, you know, you just saying like, you know, do what I say and that's it. You know, and when you try to express how you feel, you either get a whoop and you get in trouble. So that's how things were, you know. And I just feel like I feel like we just need to be able to understand each other, you know, allow us to be able to say how we feel, because, you know, we go through stuff as youth as well. You know, a lot of people, I know, understand you're grown, you got bills, you know, you got all these responsibilities, but we also take on a lot too as young people. And I feel like there's a big gap, you know, between us understanding each other. And I feel like we should try to, you know, cause a lot of us too, young people don't be trying to hit nobody older than us, tell them what to do. Like, man, they don't know what they're talking about, but most of the time they do, because they've been there in your shoes, you know. So I just feel like it's all about just being able to understand each other. That's just a big thing, you know, being able to, you know.
So maybe this is too close to this past question, but maybe not. So you let me know. What are some things that you wish older adults knew about either you or your generation? Like what are we not getting? What do you wish we knew that we just don't seem to understand?
That's a good question. I don't know if somebody else answer that. Now I'm think about that.
We're a lot smarter than you think we are. We are aware of what's happening. We know what's going on. We have opinions about everything, And for the most part, we're well informed. And like, I hear these things about politicians not knowing how the young people are going to vote because we're so crazy and out there. I mean, our votes are so unpredictable. But we're saying things, you're just not listening to us because we're young.
Minimizing your insights, your knowledge, your own wisdom because of your age. What else?
I like, I guess, assuming the best of us, like you, I wish they would understand that we are trying, that millennials are not all lazy, right? Like there is effort being put in that I don't want to say it's not acknowledged, because I think that's kind of bad faith. I just don't think it's seen and understood the way we kind of always blur out like young people grinding. So that's what I would say. I would say just know that everybody is doing their best.
Thanks, Conor. Anyone else want to weigh in on that?
Back to what Lily was talking about too. I understand what she was saying. To go back on that. I feel like I just, I want them to understand that we are smart as well. See, a lot of people think that since they're older than us, they know more than us, or like they have a say so in everything, and they like underestimate us as young people because they feel like since we ain't been through nothing really, since we ain't really been here that long as they have, they don't know as much as I do, as grown people. So I feel like they should just like give us a chance, just like back on what Lily said, So I just wanted to share that, that I agree with what she said.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mind if we've got, I don't know how much time you have. Maybe we could go a little bit over. Does anybody have a hard stop at 5? So maybe we could go till quarter after, if that's okay. Let's change it up a little bit. If maybe if we could go through maybe in the order that we once had. So I think we started before with Shai, and then it went Shai, Conor, Lily, Sandra, Titus. But if you could maybe name 3 emotions that you have felt during this crisis. Just name 3 emotions.
I guess I would say confused, angry, and maybe a little sad as well.
Okay. Confused, angry, and sad.
I would say frustration, like we were saying earlier. I would also put ennui, like we were talking about. Moving online really doesn't make me want to go to do work. I would agree. I guess like all crossroads, like melancholy, like real nostalgia, just like yeah.
Okay. Frustration, ennui, and melancholy.
I'd say grief for what we've lost with all of this, frustration, and loneliness. I don't see anyone ever, and I never go out of the house usually, and now I don't go to school anymore. I'm just by myself. Sad.
Grief, frustration, and loneliness. Okay.
Oh, my turn. Okay. So I would say hopeful, surprised, and at some moments I have felt some serenity at just silence. And I know loneliness can be sad, but like at some points I'm like, wow, I really haven't really been inside my head lately, that.
Okay, hopeful, surprised, and serenity. Thank you. Titus, what about your three?
I would say, well, first of all, I was overwhelmed because number one, I'm not working at the moment, so I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this, you know. And then number two, my second one, I I'm not sad or anything, but I don't want to say I'm happy because I don't want to sound like a bad guy. But it was just a lot of things. Like I feel like I needed a break from school. I'm not even gonna lie. It was. I know. I'm probably. I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not. I just feel like I needed a break from school. But like, at the same time, I think it's gonna be this bad, you know. But so I feel like I'm all right. And then my third one is I feel like through all this, it's gonna be It's gonna be a good outcome after all. It's gonna be something, something to look forward to. So I feel I'm hopeful. Yes, sir.
I'm going to read those words back, and so if you can think about a word that you didn't say that you would that grabs your attention for some reason. Okay. So those words I think are confused, angry, sad, frustration or frustrated, ennui, melancholy, grief, frustrated, loneliness, hopeful, surprised, serenity, overwhelmed, kind of a conflicted happiness, and then hopeful. So it can be anyone, one of you. What's a word that you didn't use that you are just either curious about or really kind of grabbed you?
I appreciate that everybody is staying hopeful. It's good to hear, because all we're hearing about is how this is, the pestilence phase of the four horsemen, and and that it's just that there's nothing good happening. So it is good to hear people be positive in a moment of reflection.
Sticking with that, what are some other ways that others of you have felt hope, or maybe times over the last few weeks where you've felt hope, maybe even in surprising places?
Can you give an example real quick? I want you to restate the question.
Well, I just want to explore that emotion of hope, because I think for a lot of people, I think one of the things that is maybe not surprising but really striking is how much hope I've heard in this conversation today, which makes me feel great, because sometimes I have a hard time maintaining hope, although I know that's critical. So maybe just riff on hope a little bit. Why is hope important now? Why do you think it's bubbling up amongst many of you?
Well, with me, like I said, I'm a man of faith, and I was reading. It's a scripture in the Bible that says that a man that endures through hardship will receive like the crown of life, meaning that like the struggle is only temporary. To be honest, the struggle is only temporary, and I feel like like it stick out to me, and a lot of things like I've been reading because I've been, it made me like a lot of times I'm not trying to talk about nobody else's faith, but recently I've been listening to the radio, and this like this crisis that's going on is really bringing people closer to God. I feel like it's making people lean on, because not everything not working now. You can't do everything now because everything ain't working no more. So it's like only one solution. Some people like, okay, so who is this God that you're serving? There's a lot of people, actually seeking God after this. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I don't know. It's just like going through my head right now. I'm sorry,
No,
Janson.
don't apologize. I think this is an incredible analysis.
Yeah, it's a lot going on, man. It's just like, I feel like people say that like that like it's another scripture in the Bible that says that um all things are working for the good of those who have the love of God and called according to his purpose. Now this is not against anybody else's beliefs now. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't tell, you know, what you can't believe. But this is me. This is where my faith come in, and this is why I am the way I am. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm joyful. That's why I don't fear, because fear is not of God. You know, God gives us the spirit of power, love, and the sound mind. You know, and you know, I don't believe in, you know, that type of I believe in fear. Fear is real, but I can't let it overtake me. You know, because a lot of times when we fear, we doubt. You know what I'm saying? And we just we don't know what to do, and you know, it causes all type of anxiety. You know, it's so much. You know what I'm saying? It's very overwhelming. You know, and
So,
I feel like that's what I think.
so for you, you see your hope. It's almost like a cycle with your faith. It's renewing your
Yeah.
hope, which is renewing your commitment to your own faith tradition and beliefs.
Right.
So you're feeling that hope there. Where are some of others of you feeling hope or recognizing hope?
Go ahead.
I guess it would go back to what I was saying earlier, how we were born into adversity. I feel like it's kind of like we don't really have any much choice but to be hopeful. It's not really much that we can do except take the precautions that they've been telling us to do. I mean, it's kind of just a waiting game at this point. So there's no point of sitting and being like sad or mad, or, you know, it's kind of just, you have to be hopeful in these times, because if you're not, then you're putting yourself through more like torture that way.
So as almost like a commitment to yourself, to your well-being, to make sure that and I would imagine for people around you, that you're making a choice to be hopeful. It sounds like, Shai.
Yes, exactly.
Conor, you were gonna weigh in on this?
Yeah, I have been, in the absence of things to do, watching a lot of movies and reading a lot of poems. And there's hope in art for me. And like when I sit down and think about like, okay, what am I going to watch, or what am I going to pull from my collection to read? It's like, there is so much that I have yet to discover. And I cannot let goings on prevent me from just getting in touch with myself, which is, you know, an ultimate goal of art. I have my whole life to read poems and my whole life to watch movies. And it's enriching experiences like those. I mean, similar to what Titus was saying about faith, you know, those are things that enrich you personally. And that's what keeps me going, is those opportunities, those moments.
Thanks, Conor.
And going back to what Titus was saying, I'm also put my trust in God my whole life. My parents have always taught me, put your trust in God, because sometimes you can't do everything on your own. You know, you can't really take on that suffering on your own. So then you give it up to God, and then you can conquer anything, you know. And right now, it's really a moment where you don't have all these, like Titus said, you don't have all these materialistic things that are distracting you, that you can put your trust in, or like that really takes your focus away to your spirituality or anything like that. So what's giving me hope is that I know that in the end, something good will come out of this, you know, if I put my trust in God. And, you know, we can't really do anything because we can't go out. So that's really what it comes down to in the end.
Thanks, Sandra.
Go
ahead. Sorry, Lily.
Yeah, I'm a kind of glass half empty kind of person, so it's hard for me to find hope. But I have been keeping in mind, like you were saying, Shai, how we're built for this. We're gonna get through this. This isn't gonna be the end of the world. But so that's where I'm kind of putting my hope, and like knowing that this is all gonna we're gonna get over this. It's gonna end at some point, and then we can move on with our lives, even though it's gonna kind of suck until then.
Would anybody else want to respond to something that you heard just now in the reflections on hope?
I would just like to agree with Sandra and Titus, because I am a believer, and I do have strong faith as well. My church has not closed down due to this coronavirus, so we're still in there every Sunday. Although it's like different because it's not that many people as much as it usually is, but so I feel like that's also another thing that's been keeping me hopeful as well, is I'm looking forward to getting out of the house to go to church. So it's like, yeah.
I agree.
Okay. So this was a lot. This was it's a heavy experience for me emotionally, and so many of you commented that your generation is built for this, and I think that seemed affirmed to me emotionally because I saw one of your parents actually comment about how heartbreaking I think this is if we don't. It strikes me that the more I'm able to listen to your perspectives, I get my sons, but to listen to more young adults, I don't feel as heartbroken. There's no reason for me to feel heartbroken only for all of you. I mean, I feel generational guilt. I feel anger. I oscillate between hopelessness and hopefulness. And I have to make that choice in a real conscious way. I'm a little bit more like you, Lily, I think, in that respect. But like this has actually made me feel incredibly hopeful and also appreciative of if you're representative of, and I know it's unfair thing to say that 5 people in a video conversation are representative of a generation, but if you're indicators of the will and the spirit of others who are millennials, who are 18, Generation Z maybe, I feel like really the future challenges are going to be yours to solve. I think we've not done so well, older generations. So I think this has been a great experience for me listening to each of you. So we always like to end usually with a prompt around hope, but we've already kind of hit that. So in lieu of that, what would be one thing based on your conversation today with each other, maybe one phrase or thought of what you're experiencing right now in this present moment? And we'll go in the initial order that we kind of started with.
I don't have one word to put it in, but I'm kind of feeling like a little grateful that I'm talking to other people that's not my family right now, even though it's through a screen, but it's still a good feeling to talk to other people right now. So yeah.
Thank you, Shai.
I think it was Shai who said something along the lines of like we're the generation that was made to handle this. Like we were made to put up with all this and to fix it. It's that, I guess, utilitarian sensibility is what has to follow the frustration and the anger. All of that is what comes after. And so I'm comfortable in that. I'm comfortable in just resigning to that idea of, we will handle it because we have to. And as long as that follows the emotion, I'm cool. I'm good.
Thank you, Conor.
I don't know. I guess kind of like resigned hopefulness. Like, I'm not feeling great right now, obviously, because I'm stuck at home. But I know it'll work out. We kind of got to get through, kind of trudging through all of it.
Thanks, Lily. Thank you. Sandra?
Sorry, I kind of blinked out. Oh man, what was I gonna say? So fine. Oh, I got it. Okay. So realizing that the need for human connection, of course. And then also coming to the realization that we're all on the same boat, and knowing that that's kind of humbling for all of us. We're very humbled by that. So just realizing that we're all in this together.
Thank you, Sandra. Titus, bring us home.
But people just don't. People don't believe in the power of positive thinking. I feel like the more I'm talking about, we can do so much with positivity. There's so much power in that. There's so much power. I just want to, share that. Just say that one thing. There's so much power. Speaking things as if though they were. That's in the Bible. Like people do not know that the power of life and death is in the tongue. Like you can speak so much positive things, and I feel like that's what we're doing right here at this moment. And I feel like those things will they shall come. I feel like they will come. So I think that's about it for me.
Thank you, Titus. Thank you, Conor. Thank you, Shai. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Sandra. For those of you who joined us, thank you for listening and paying attention along with me. This has been the 5th session of this Coping in a COVID-19 World. And to me, all of these have been really compelling and powerful, but none as much as this. So thank you, all of you, for your time, and good luck with your incredible futures. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Appreciate it.
All of you.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.